presented by Seat77.com. As always, Dave Dabbah is coming to you live from the Super Plus Seat 77 broadcast studio in the heart of Silicon Valley. Now, Dave Dabbah.
North America, thanks for tuning in to the Dave Dabbah Big Show. And now for a quick rundown of the world of sports. Oh boy, have we got a huge, I'm super excited about Friday's show, a huge show for you today. Coming up on today's Dave Dabbah Big Show, I've got complete coverage of last night's Thursday night football game, which featured the Miami Dolphins dressed up as sun-kissed soda cans. I've got my National Football League week number 4 picks for you, and I'll give you my highly anticipated thoughts on the new Fox television show called Pitch. All of that and more, trust me, and more, coming up on today's Dave Dabbah Big Show. But we begin with the horrific off-season signing of Harrison Barnes. Look, this signing is so bad that I can't wait to see if Mr. Wonderful gives Mark Cuban a hard time on Shark Tank. Look, I don't know if you guys remember the Olympics, which went on for, as my wife said, like 6 months. But we saw Harrison Barnes during the Olympics, after he had just signed that $94 million contract that Mark Cuban, for some strange, bizarre reason, decided to give the kid who is a shell of his former self. And I was looking at this week as we enter into the NBA season. We're moving into the preseason, which is going to tip off here in the next week and a half. The teams are in training camps. Harrison Barnes, I guarantee, is missing jump shots left and right in Dallas right now. And I'm serious, Mr. Wonderful. He just can't wait to rip on Cuban for that deal because he threw $94 million away. Think about the Golden State Warriors just for a quick second. That's right, the evil, evil Golden State Warriors, the bad guys of the NBA. It's so funny. This is like so funny that you can paint Steph Curry and Draymond Green, who's always smiling, and Klay Thompson as the bad guys in the NBA. Look, I know Kevin Durant jumped ship and shouldn't have, and that's what's making them the bad guys. But they are not like the bad boys of like from the Detroit Pistons era in the 90s. This is just comical that Steph Curry is somehow a bad guy, and Draymond Green, who hasn't stopped smiling. Even when he's been in trouble all offseason, he's been smiling the whole time. It's unbelievable. So anyways, the Warriors, if you remember back about 12 months ago, they had a chance. They had a chance to lock in Harrison Barnes to a long-term deal. Now, the deal was in that $80 to $90 million range. And this was the best thing that happened to the Warriors last year when Harrison Barnes turned them down. Because if you look at his performance last year with the Warriors, if you look at his performance against lesser competition in the Olympics, like he didn't even get to play in a couple games. Me and my son, we were watching this and we were just laughing because he's sitting on the bench and they're not playing him because they know he's just going to sit there and miss shots. Cuban, what were you thinking? And it was a terrible deal. Love to know what North America thinks. Info at seat77.com. All right. Now, as we all know, I love the media. Absolutely love the media. Love television. Love cable. I've been waiting to give a quick review of the new Fox television show, and I can't quite use the word hit because it's not quite a hit. It's not doing poor enough to be like canceled, so we'll never see the 3rd episode, which is a good thing. Anyways, my review of this is that it's actually a very well produced and well done television show. I was actually surprised by how well it was done. The pilot I thought was fantastic. I thought the 2nd episode which I watched at some point this morning, was good. Not as good as the pilot, but was still good. And there's a little bit too much of General Hospital and Days of Our Lives. And there's a little bit of Guiding Light. Look, is Guiding Light even still on the air? So it's got a little bit too much of the soap opera stuff in it. But it's still a really well done television show. So now if you're a sports fan, just a pure sports fan, we all know that a lot of the television shows related to sports have kind of had short lives. Take the great ABC sitcom Sports Night, which after just a couple seasons got canceled. And it was, and I quote, critically acclaimed, and it got canceled. So anyways, the star of the show is a lady, and this is her first big role. Her name is Kylie Bunbury, and I'm sure I butchered her name. Her name in the TV show, though, her character's name is Jeannie Baker. Anyways, a little bit of hokiness in and out of the show, but maybe my favorite piece of hokiness had to be the Jackie Robinson comparison piece. And so what the San Diego Padres did, because she plays on the San Diego Padres. By the way, the current Padres, they're like 68 and 90, or 61 and 98 on the season. Something just terrible, just a horrific. They certainly could use Jeannie Baker to get called up at this point. Anyways, so they did this Jackie Robinson thing, which was really interesting. So they show Jackie Robinson, and they're handing her jersey, and they say, well, Jackie was 42, and we thought that the first female baseball player should wear the number, wait for it, Richard Petty's number 43. That was the first thing I thought. I didn't think that it was like a number after Jackie Robinson. When they hold up the jersey and they showed the number 43, I was like, Richard Petty. Why did they give her Richard Petty's number? Anyways, so there's a quick review. Do check the show out, though. I think it's really well done. If you have kids, it's appropriate for them. Especially if you have young ladies in your household, I think it's a good show that gives a good message. info@seat77.com. Tell us what you think. All right, coming up on the Dave Dabbah Big Show, more on those sun-kissed soda cans that the Miami Dolphins decided to wear and run around in last night. Look, I turned on the TV and I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize Tampa was playing tonight. Anyways, so I'll give you a quick review of last night's Thursday night football game, plus my unbelievably highly anticipated. After going 8-14 last week, I'm sure North America can't wait to hear what my Week 4 National Football League predictions are. All of that and more coming up for you on the Dave Dabbah Big Show.
And now, North America, it's time to get down and dirty for some hard-hitting, concussion-causing coverage of the National Football League. The sport that Dave is so passionate about that he hasn't missed a single play of a Minnesota Viking game for the past 16 years. Presented by Seat77.com. And now, back to the Dave Dabbah Big Show.
North America, super, just so excited to talk about the National Football League. We are going to kick it off with coverage from last night's absolutely horrific Thursday night football game, which featured those sun-kissed soda cans of the Miami Dolphins, who I guess lost sight of what their calendar was. I think they thought it was like Halloween. It was terrible uniforms. I think they saw some old pictures from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they're like, oh yeah, those orange uniforms that the Buccaneers used to wear. Oh yeah, we want those. Those were absolutely terrible uniforms. Look, I know the National Football League is trying to make some extra bucks. They're trying to extort money out of us. They are. I can admit it. The National Football League wants your money. If you have any money in your pocket right now, the National Football League is devising a strategy to take it from you. And those Thursday night Orange Crush jerseys that the Miami Dolphins were wearing were absolutely terrible, as was the game. Look, this is like horrific Friday here on the Dave Dabbah Big Show. I'm sorry to be so negative, but that was like, everybody knows I love football. I will sit down and watch football on television. I don't care. Seriously, if it's Pee Wee football, I am watching. That was the worst Thursday night football game I have seen in years, and I have seen them all. Look, National Football League, Roger Goodell and the people that do all of the scheduling for the NFL, please get the Cincinnati Bengals off of my television. I am done. 22-7 was the final of last night's game. Andy Dalton, does what Andy Dalton does. Actually, no mistakes, which is a little unusual. Close to 300 yards passing, 1 touchdown to A.J. Green, who was fantastic last night. And then it was like 5 field goals. Like they couldn't figure out how to punch it in against this daunting Miami Dolphins defense. They were treating the Miami Dolphins defense. This is the Bengals. The Bengals were treating the Miami Dolphins defense like they were still playing the Broncos. It was ridiculous. There were very few adjustments made by the Bengals offense. It was boring, and the announcers of the game knew it, and you could hear it as they were wrapping up the broadcast last night. Look, the Dolphins, if you're a Dolphin fan, don't go buy those Orange Crush jerseys just yet, because trust me, they're going to be discounted before you know it. Your season is officially over. Your new head coach has alienated many of the players on his team, and he's done it literally in less than 3 months. You can just see it on the field. This Dolphin team, he's lost them. He has absolutely lost them. He's going to have to try to figure out during their bye week how to get this Dolphin team back. If not, it is going to be an extremely long year once again for you Dolphin fans. All right, moving on to my National Football League highly anticipated, and I know you can't wait, highly anticipated Week 4 picks. And here we go. The Colts are heading to London. They showed up in London earlier today, as did the Jags. The Jags' home away from home is London. I have to say, the Jags organization, just a mess. Like everything they've tried to do in terms of trying to put a team together has really not worked. I feel bad, but their head coach is going to get canned. He might not even be allowed back on the plane ride back to the States. He might actually just have to stay in London. So I'm going with the Colts in this. The Colts need this one. The Jags are done, in my humble opinion. Patriots, Bills, does anybody actually believe that Rex Ryan is going to outcoach Bill Belichick? Patriots with the win. Texans, Titans, Texans rebound. In the game that the Bears should win but won't, the Lions will be victorious in Chicago. Seahawks, Jets, expect the Seahawks to win. And why are not more people ripping on Ryan Fitzpatrick, the bearded one? Seriously. Oh, he went to Harvard. He's a smart guy. He's got a degree from Harvard. He threw 6 picks last week. 6 interceptions in one game against no touchdowns. How is this guy even starting this week? Don't you just have to bench him for a quarter? Just at least a quarter just to sit his ass down? Fitzpatrick, you cannot do that. 6 interceptions in one game. You are not Peyton Manning, sir. All right, moving on. Panthers at Falcons. The Panthers really, really desperately need this one. But something just tells me the Falcons are going to win. Raiders at Ravens. I cannot, with a good conscience, pick the Raiders to win this one. It will be close, but the Ravens, I don't know why, but will win. That Ravens defense, I said this yesterday, definitely better than we all realized. Broncos, Buccaneers. I can't pick against that Bronco defense. Cowboys, 49ers. For the love of God, Chip Kelly. For the love of God, Chip Kelly. Bench Blaine Gabbert already. Please put in Colin Kaepernick and try to save your season. Cowboys with the win, unless Chip puts in Colin before the second half starts. Elsewhere around the National Football League, we've got the Saints and Chargers. This one's in San Diego as Drew Brees returns home to San Diego against the San Diego Superchargers. Saints need this victory bad, as do the Chargers. Expect the Chargers to find a way to win this game. It is a home game. I'm going with the home team, and that's the only reason why. Sunday Night Football, Chiefs at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin has one of his best tools back in the backfield as Le'Veon Bell is back from his latest drug suspension. This will free up, obviously, Ben Roethlisberger downfield even more. So this is a good thing. Steelers with the win. By the way, Antonio Brown's he's fabulous. Fabulous, right? Like, couldn't say anything bad about Antonio Brown, other than maybe a couple of his dance moves. That just moves too fast. It's not smooth enough. Antonio, you got to get a little smoother with your dance moves. That being said, the rest of the wide receivers on that wide receiver core have to become more consistent. They need to stop dropping passes. Anyway, Steelers are going to win this one, but look for that if you're actually watching the game. All right, so as I mentioned yesterday, I mean, this is death pool, and as part of that death pool, a ton of people are picking against the Rams. They're picking the Cardinals. I'm picking the Rams with the upset, as I said yesterday, because I do not believe in this Arizona Cardinal team. To me, this is like a Cardinal team from the 90s that was terrible, and that is how this season is actually going to go for the Cardinals, who are not even going to come close to making the playoffs this year. I am sorry to my friends in Phoenix and family members, but your Cardinal team is way overrated. You didn't make enough moves during the offseason, and you got old overnight. And Carson Palmer is done. He is done. Trust me. It is over. Carson will not be on the Cardinals next year. Elsewhere around the National Football League, in my other kind of death pool pick, we've got the Redskins at home against the Browns. I'm picking the upset. All right, so everybody in the death pool is picking against the Browns. So week in and week out, everybody goes and they pick against the Browns. And it's like half of the players in the death pool are doing this. It's the strategy. I get it. I mean, I did it last week. I picked the Dolphins, who should have lost to the Browns last week. I picked the Dolphins. Browns almost won that one. Anyways, this Redskin-Browns game, going with the upset in this one. And I can't for good reason give you specifics as why. It's just a gut feeling that the other Gruden brother has lost his Washington Redskin team. And I think it's going to show up in an ugly way on Sunday, as the Browns are going to pull off a big upset in old DC. All right, so now for the drug news coming out of Cleveland. As we all know, Josh Gordon, a little earlier today, he's just like, 72 hours away from Roger Goodell reinstatement into your National Football League. And Josh Gordon, does he do? He checks himself into rehab. And this is a sad thing, because obviously he's got some sort of problem. Look, I don't think it's weed. It's got to be something else. If it's just weed and he was trying to avoid a drug test by entering into rehab because he smoked a little bit of weed, that would be one thing. But this has to be some other kind of substance that he's really a substance that's actually addictive, because weed is not addictive. You can read all the studies, not addictive. It could be addictive in the sense that if you're in a situation where it's around all of the time, then you're just secondhand smoke, but not addictive. So read your studies, and if you disagree with me, seriously, go read your studies on this. That being said, it really sad Hope Josh gets the help that he needs. Would love to see him back in the National Football League. But good luck to you, Josh Gordon. All right, enough of the drug stories. Moving on to your final game of the week. And by the way, I think this week's games are a lot easier to pick. I've got my Minnesota Vikings on Monday Night Football at home against the New York Football Giants. And I have to say this. I picked against the Vikes last week. I trust Mike Zimmer. I trust the defense. I do not trust the Minnesota Vikings corners as much as I trust the rest of the defense. That's the weakness. Unbelievable safeties that Minnesota has with Harrison Smith and Zendejo. That being said, definitely Xavier Rhodes for the Vikes, who's a corner, still nursing a pretty big injury. And there's some younger cornerbacks over there that can certainly be exploited by an offense that decides they want to exploit them. That being said, after watching what they did and what Mike Zimmer did with adjustments during the game last week against Carolina, I mean, think about this. Think about all of the things that have gone wrong for this Minnesota Viking team. And they've started out the season 3-0. First, they shut down Marcus Mariota. Okay, mediocre, probably National Football League quarterback. Look, all the people that are saying he's going to be great, that's what you get when you think about Marcus Mariota. But Aaron Rodgers, on the other hand, shutting him down, that's impressive for any Viking team or for any team. And then turning around the next week, going into Carolina with all of the social unrest that was going on, and being able to tune that out and devise a strategy. But more importantly than the strategy was making the adjustments during the game. I've got a ton of faith right now in Mike Zimmer and the Minnesota Viking defense to find a way to take down Eli Manning and that New York Football Giants offense. Specifically, if you think about the Giants offensive line, the Vikes are going to be able to exploit it, and they might be able to exploit it without blitzing. That's when you know you have a bad offensive line. Miami Dolphins. All right, North America, thanks so much for all of your support of the Big Dave Dabbah Big Show. God, you know, this is the 101st show that we've done. Absolutely awesome. We're on Facebook, Twitter, SoundCloud, Spreaker, TuneIn Radio, and of course, our big iTunes channel is continuing to blow up. And our big news a few months ago, we got picked up by iHeart Radio as well. All right, now for the really super big ego piece. For the Dave Dabbah Big Show, I am Dave Dabbah, reminding you that not everyone can be a champion, Ron Rivera. Definitely not this year for you, Mr. Rivera. But everyone, and I do mean everyone, can act like one Cam. And please, Cam, get some better outfits. And for the rest of you, good luck, North America.